and all of them are talking about Abga winning in the Anambra election that's going on. It's Abga, Soludo, Anambra governorship election. This is Nigeria. This day, Soludo in apparent victory in Anambra poll. Election to hold in Ihiala tomorrow. That is, the tradition has become that it will be inconclusive at first, and subsequently they will hold the part they want to use to conclude. So somehow you would either expect a shocker. Like somebody said that the election itself is a semi-final. That it will end up, the final will be at the Supreme Court, the tribunal and Supreme Court. That certain events might replay itself because you know the kind of people you got in power, right? So they know their game, even though people will eventually have their way if they are united. So the parts where the elections were said to have been inconclusive, they said it will hold tomorrow because according to INEC, elections did not even happen in those places, and Hihiala is one of them. So it will happen tomorrow. This is the way the Nigerian pilot chooses to report it. It says, Soludo floors them. Soludo floors them. Before we come to the lessons, let's exhaust the papers. Anambra election, Soludo leads. That's the Daily Times. And then the last one I have for this morning. Federal government moves to stop cross-border rice imports. Anambra, Soludo, ex-CBN governor in landslide victory. Lessons. Number one, I already said it. If elections happened the way it happened, and APC had led, like APC is leading, the ruling party at the center is leading. Cases like that, we have hardly heard that it is inconclusive or that would progress to court and then they're going to determine the final at the court. It's rare, okay? Even when you take APC to court for leading or winning, even in face of irregularities or whatever, chances that you are going to defeat them is going to be slim because they run the court. Now, that is number one lesson. Brace up. It doesn't end at the first day. Election is a marathon in Nigeria. The day one is the semi-final. Of course, you have been preparing for it as though it is the final, but it's not. Okay? It's a semi-final. The final, no, that was quarter-final because the semi-final could be that something may just come out, poof, from it, and it will override all the figures you think you had. And that is the second lesson I want to go to. The second lesson is, I've always said it, that even the solution, the best way to demonstrate that people are not interested in this or are tired of this administration is to engage politically. Yes, there might be agitations and all that. Let them also feel it in their own domain, their jurisdiction, which is the politics. Let's use it also to as platform to tell them, if you feel comfortable in politics because people are only clamoring outside there, we want to come and show you, even inside the politics, extend our grievances politically. So I would have wished that the protest votes is in overwhelming figure or number. Protest votes should have been in overwhelming figure. I tell you, even APGA is a protest party. You see, the agitation for self-determination didn't start just now with Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB, okay? But they realized at that time too that they needed to engage politically. It's like we are relearning the lesson that already came at the first time. You still need to engage politically. You still need to like express these grievances politically. Look at the message sent in Anambra. Now, if you look at the figure with which Abga is leading, that figure is not, I'm not really as thrilled, because 100,000 plus. I mean, what is the total population of people in Anambra? Now, imagine we hadn't used fear, scare tactics, and all that to discourage people from trooping out en masse. I mean, the overwhelming figure would have been in the millions, not in 100,000. How many people are there in Anambra to have recorded such low victory? That victory, to me, somehow is weak. And they might post stunt. Like, the inconclusive means they want to go and look for where to fetch votes. And they have used that yesterday election to convince people that, oh, it's not violent. Though you can say that the quarterfinal wasn't violent. So they will now go and look for a way to more to get more people to come out in mass to trounce the figure. You think you had it. So the lesson still continues. In Ihiala and other places where they say the election is inconclusive and they want to do supplementary election, let people still troop out. And I've said it many times. Even self-determination, secession, break-up, agitation is also a political demand. And you cannot successfully champion it if you don't go political with them. Now, from what has happened so far in Anambra, other lessons include that we might use it. Like I said before, the third lesson is, they gave a condition for election to happen, that, oh, release Nnamdi Kanu. Excuse me, was Nnamdi Kanu released before the election? Now, what am I simply saying? I'm not taking side with the government. I'm only saying they know how to still win. They'll say, we will not release him. An election will still happen. So if your people don't come out, they are playing a chess game. If your people don't come out to protest with votes, we will still impose our next candidate with the few we are able to mobilize to come and vote. So this game is intellectual, mind game, political game. So the game must be played across the game must be played in all ways, not just agitation. If you don't engage politically, you will not be able to express it appropriately. They will think, oh, it's just they will call them hoodlums, like some people who are engaging outside of the rule. That is the meaning. You are engaging outside of the rule, so they don't even recognize the expressions you're making. So they negate the expressions you're making because you are engaging outside of the rule. But you can engage with their rule, play with them. What determines at the end of the day is the mass number. Okay? And since the agitation is popular, agitation for secession, for self-determination, is a popular agitation. You can use that strength. Engage politically. If you don't own the country, you cannot break it. You have to first own it. But saying you are not part of it, then they will say, since you are not part of this country, be doing your own. Leave us to be doing our own election now. And be imposing our governor, since you are not part of it. So you must still use that number, that overwhelming number, to engage politically. So if you don't engage them politically, they don't recognize what you're doing. They just call you terrorists, or they call you hoodlums or whatever. So it becomes recognizable, since you have tested it, that people are truly tired. The only way they can rig successfully is if people are not interested or are not participating in their huge number. If people participate in their huge number, it becomes difficult for them. And since the agitations are popular, engage with that number politically. Frighten them, threaten them. Frighten them. So, but I'm happy that Anambra has exposed that what you have been talking about since is actually the truth. Agitations, however, see, When you say we want this, it's not as if they don't know you have a right to demand for it, or that you are not, or that they don't know that you are pained, or that you really want that. They know. Aha. But they are deliberately using that your plight to manipulate you and subjugate you. So if you don't come up, engage them with your strength. They know people want what you are looking for. But for as long as they are not politically engaging, they are happy. So their game is over the day we start using these all agitations to engage politically. The fear they had with NSAS was when the demand started changing to end this regime. They were afraid. Because people have united and the game is over for them. So the moment you started saying, oh, we are therefore using it to found a new party, oh, we want to now use the agitation, NSAS agitation, to found a new party that will counter them. Hey! They have to bring in soldiers. Because at that point, you are threatening their existence. At that point, you are threatening their business. So what they had to do immediately was to look for however violent method. Because the moment you are agitating politically, you are engaging politically, you are threatening them. Because when they saw the number, taking Lagos, taking Rivers, Port Harcourt, taking Ogun, taking Ondo, taking everywhere, you threaten them. You now say, okay, we now want to use it. We now want to use the mass of people who are saying the same thing. We now want to transit into a political movement. Game over. So when we say the agitation is all right, but we must engage politically, Anambra is an example. So another lesson is if APC had successfully imposed their candidates, it will further lead people into clamoring again in another. They would have thrown people into another set of disarray. You will be confused further. And you will now come back and say, Shibi, we told you. INEC can never conduct election that will favor. It's not true. It is when the coast is clear for them that they are able to manipulate. If the coast is not clear for them with overwhelming majority saying no, INEC is careful. Yeah, they are. I tell you. So we need to begin to figure a way to convert all these numbers that we have for the various agitations to engage politically. I think I may not be totally correct in some people's minds, but just let's note it down as one of the thoughts. Okay? As one of the thoughts we may begin to muster as alternative going forward. 2023. What lesson is Anambra giving us? What lesson is Anambra giving us for 2023? Anambra has told us that they will not release Nnamdi Kanu and they will have their election. But if we engage in that election, we can still win and still come back and continue to make our demands. Now, Soludo, another question I want to ask, which is in form of a lesson, is imagine the candidates presented by APGA does not have the financial wherewithal. Now, if you see the papers that are celebrating Soludo for the clear early lead, they were making reference copiously to his antecedent as ex-CBN governor. You understand? How would they have been able to pull that if he didn't have the money? Meaning that somehow in Nigeria, we still practice money politics. We still make it look like if you're not financially buoyant, you cannot govern. Do you understand? And there are so many people who have competence, who have the genuineness of heart and sincerity of will and purpose, but we do not give them a chance. Because, so, meaning that even to have a successful opposition, there is need for money. Do you understand? Even to have a successful opposition, not just solely, or we no go green. There is still need to pump money into the opposition. For people to say, okay, yes, we understand this opposition is genuine, is right, is this. Nigerians will always say, but Kolo, go anywhere, bring anybody, bring Jesus Christ. Yeah. Even pastors who campaign against him. Bring Jesus Christ to come and contest. And we are not asking him to share the money. Oh. He does not necessarily have to share the money. Oh. But for them to know he is worth, that he is worth this, he doesn't have to share the money. Just be worth it. So Nigerians still are interested in politics more than they are interested in governance. So whoever who want to govern Nigeria must be ready for the politics of it. The politics of winning before, the chance for governance. So there is the politics for winning before the chance for governance. So imagine Abga brought, if Abga had presented Uba, they would still have voted Uba. Yeah. But the fact is, two factors that played there. Number one, they did not want APC in their states. Even if APC presented Soludo, it's not the solution. But then the alternative they want to also look at must also be worth it. Do you understand it? Financially new, the opposition they want to consider must also be worth it. If the opposition they want to consider is not financially worth it, they would have still collected what the option they don't want has and say, go for him. That's Nigeria for you. They would have still gone for that. That said, going forward, if there will still be Nigeria in 2023, Nigerians must consider engaging politically. Even if they rig, that electioneering process would have helped to galvanize a mass number of people, huge enough to advance another level of agitation. Yeah. Huge enough. Because even electioneering is a base on its own. Bringing people together under the electoral, electioneering, it can help you to galvanize people. So even if they end up rigging or not giving it to you, it has built a movement that can advance from there. So we must still engage politically. We still must engage politically. And that is the lesson coming from Anambra. Gentlemen and ladies, that is the simple lesson from Anambra. Engage politically. Let us encourage more people in Ihiala and other places where elections will still take place for the semi-final. There will still be final somehow. There may still be a final at the Supreme Court. But for the semi-final, let's make it clear enough to be difficult for them to do at the Supreme Court. Let the Abga continue to mobilize. You have not won. Because if you think, 100,000, 100 and something thousand, in the whole Anambra is all you can get, it simply means the fear, the sit at home, the scare tactic, militarization of the atmosphere by the government really caused a lot of people to sit back. You understand? I expect to be governorship election, we should be counting millions of votes. Millions of votes. So they cannot always win. If majority determines the direction, who has the majority? Isn't all the people complaining every day on social media? Isn't all the people agitating? Are they not in their millions? How many people are these people safe? How many are these people that we are up against? How many are they? They're not many. They're not. But let us engage politically. And I think I want to stop today's lesson there. And I want you to listen to this message again. I've been playing it for some time. It's by Adiola Fayon. And this is a very important message that I also endorse. I'll see you again. Bye. Bye for now.
Really inspired by this man's story, even though he's paying us to talk about the ad. But before we get to the ad, ladies and gentlemen, please meet Mr. Abiodun Akinyemi, a man who is looking to solve the big chunk of the housing crisis that we have in Nigeria by making affordable, self-sufficient homes. This kind of homes are becoming more and more popular, by the way, because they are efficient and they are environmentally friendly, and then it costs less to make them if you think about it in the long run. Anyway, before I tell you about the smart homes that he's building, let me tell you a little bit about his story. He's based in Canada right now, and he decided to build a house in Lagos, Nigeria, where he's from. But upon making inquiries, the cost of building a house has increased significantly since he moved to Canada. So instead of using concrete brick throughout his construction, he substituted it with laterite, and he was able to save 30% of the construction cost. Laterite has a lot of advantages, by the way, including warming your home during the cold weather, cooling your home in the hot season. It's cheaper because it's readily available. It's everywhere in Nigeria. It has high clay content, which means it can hold more water. Laterite gives you better air quality. So if you build your house with laterite, you can breathe in better air quality. You can even recycle it. So if you build a house with laterite and you don't like it, you can break down the house and use the brick to build another house. And that's just to name a few of the advantages. But he didn't stop at building his personal house. He decided to make his house self-sufficient, off-grid, which means that he's not going to be dependent on the electricity from the Nigerian government. So he's using solar power, and he's also not going to be using power generator, so there will be no noise, no air pollution. At the same time, he's not using the regular sockaway that everybody uses in Nigeria. He's disposing his own waste material by decomposing it, and he's generating his own water. So once the house is completed, he doesn't need anything from them. And this is why they call this home self-sufficient, off-grid homes. That alone inspires me. The fact that he was able to find an alternative to just spending so much money on building a house. And the fact that he doesn't have to depend on the government, he made himself a self-sufficient house. That is the inspiration for me. But then he took it a step further. So after learning from his own experience, he wants to do the same for others, except that he wants to do it better. If you see the picture of the house, you may not be too impressed by the aesthetic, but he calls this the experimental house because what he has decided to do is to now mass produce this kind of house for other people. In case anybody out there is interested in having a house that will be self-sufficient, he has bought acres of land in Lakeway Beachfront in order to construct an off-grid estate. And what you guys are seeing is what he would be constructing. All these houses would not be using NEPA, and they will be constructed with laterite bricks. If anyone is interested, he's looking for 10 people, just 10 people to start out. The price starts at 34 million naira for 3 bedrooms, and you can pay in installments. He has a contract readily available, readily prepared, which you can share with your lawyer to know if that's a good deal or not. I mean, some people may feel like that's a lot of money, but it's a one-time payment that you no longer have to worry about electricity bill. You no longer have to worry about paying them to empty your sock away and stuff like that. It's a one-time payment that you know that from beginning to end, you know your house is complete and self-sufficient. Anyway, I asked him, by the way, I said, what if someone is interested right now and they decided to pay you, and along the way they decided they're no longer interested, they don't like what they are seeing? And he said to me that your money is refundable, as stated in the contract. He said he will give you back 95% of the money, and the remaining 5% is for administrative charges. He's using a system of interlocking bricks instead of the traditional style of construction. And this system results in a house that is 10 times stronger than traditionally built house, and also more terminally efficient. Each home would have its own fire system and will be conveniently located by a fire hydrant in order to make it easier for fire crews to help just in case of an emergency. We'll be building common areas that will have a gym, a playground, swimming pool, ball courts, grocery stores, and so on and so forth. And more importantly, the houses in his estate will reduce global warming and human carbon footprint. So guys, if you're interested, please check him out. This is his website.